Hello folks, hello. I didn't expect this thing to start up properly on its first go. It usually gives me a whole white screen. Like the computer just literally died. Like the equivalent of like the eyes rolling up in the head. I wonder how often that does happen. When a person died, the eyes roll up in the sockets. It's kind of a weird thing. But death is supposed to be weird and haunting, so... Still lost many patients. Dr. Wonder's real name, this is basically going to be the biography of a superhero at this point, was Willow Woodrow. She was, besides being a member, the leader of a cult, she was also a member of the Dutch resistance. So ironically enough, I put her and Hildebrandt crosshairs several times in the last war. Wonder survived those encounters. Edit Brandt, obviously. Brandt was involved in 2 missions to capture or kill Dr. Wonder, both of which failed. These failures put them in hot water with the High Command and the military intelligence, who they officially work for till their transfer into the Waffen-SK. That's the stand-in for the Waffen-SS. Waffen-SS, pretty infamous in World War II, as they were literally Nazi soldiers. Fanatical. They committed many atrocities. Many of them served as concentration camp guards, that kind of stuff. When you see the evilest soldiers, and when you see the soldiers with the lightning bolts on their neck, that's those are the SS. I'm not sure if they have lightning bolts here. I'll have to check that. Officially, they're ruins, like ancient symbols. Because the SS were led by occultist people who believed in all that crazy Norse mythology and such. The Bloodkin Army, the Gear, and other forces were always nervous about superhumans, including ones loyal to Bloodka. They didn't want someone like Dominique running around without running around alive in the mostly peaceful Netherlands, of all places. They were calmed a little in knowing that Dr. Wonder's powers were much more limited than Dominique's, and much more limited than Dominique's. Verts, though similar. Dr. Wonder had some unique things about her. They wanted her to be a clone of Dominique and her abilities. Because, I mean, everybody can't be Superman, you know? Even a character who's like Superman but less powerful is still kind of Superman, if they have the same powers. You can do the same things with them. Just maybe instead of fighting a god, they have to fight like a super demigod or something. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Her blood, while not toxic to herself, was toxic to others. It gave off a toxic but not lethal stench when it hit oxygen. In other words, when she bled, she released this chemical toxin naturally. It billowed off her skin in the form of an invisible gas. People would drop like stones after one whiff. A transfusion of Dr. Wonder's blood would be lethal to any human. This was... Dr. Wonder found this out the hard way when this was discovered after Dr. Wonder's blood power was discovered after a nasty car accident that claimed the life of her twin sister. A transfusion of Dr. Wonder's blood failed to save the sister. It might have helped her die quicker. The blood also knocked out the first responders to the crash, leaving the sisters without help for another 5 minutes or so. Dr. Wonder's father, also a doctor, a scientist and physician, considered ahead of his time, realized the problem with the girl's blood, with his daughter's blood, but he still went with the transfusion. Let's see, Dr. Wood says here, had realized it with his daughter's blood, but he still went with transfusion. Transfusion, which he believed was the only thing that could save the mortally wounded daughter. Hurt much worse in the crash than Willow. Mr. Wanda. Be able to save Wanda. Alright, 5 minutes after the crash to find all those people unconscious at the scene. Besides Willow, naturally. Willow's father was a scientist and physician considered ahead of his time. He realized the problem with Willow's blood. Gotta make sure I didn't imply he was on the scene from the start. Let's see. Quite a thing, folks. Oh, did I mention her tongue is slightly... Her tongue was also slightly longer than a normal one, but not like a dog's. Wonder. in particular. Woodrow's resistance is put her in particular the anti-Bloodcon Army of Liberation, known as ABAL, ABBA, known as ABBA. They preferred the English abbreviation to the Dutch one. People Dutch. I wonder if Dutch has its own crazy language problems that, like the rest of us. This state I'm in right now, New York, was founded by the Dutch. New Amsterdam, later on New York, because the British took over. I'm not sure when there was what the transfer of power or the details of that, but eventually the British were running the show here. Imagine in World War II if these various countries kept in control of parts of America. Like France kept Louisiana, the British kept the 13 colonies, except for the Dutch have New Amsterdam. I don't know if that would have changed things much. Maybe they want to become economic powerhouses, you know? Maybe it would have all been farmland in America if Britain never lost power here. Sorry, a superhuman. Willow. Woodrow. Wanda Woodrow died at the scene of the crash. Willow went to medical school, initially wanting to become a nurse, but then after reading about a female doctor in the USZ, she decided to aim bigger and become a doctor. She kept her superhuman abilities under wraps. Also, she guarded her membership in the Mars cult, which her father was the leader of. Did I say she was Belgian or Dutch? In my notes, I have her as Belgian and Dutch. Could a person be both? Nah, probably not. Brent and Wonder talked as they headed down some quiet Liverpool street. You were quite a terror to my superiors, Brant admitted. You were considered... You were the closest to Dominique Vert that the Dutch had. They had no superhumans of your caliber. I don't know if I might contradict that later in another story. I don't know. If I forget about this line and then mention superhuman Dutch people later on. And who wouldn't want... And who doesn't take Dutch superheroes seriously, right? I can't think of any Dutch superheroes off the top of my head. Can you? Probably not. They have no superhumans of your caliber. Toxic blood. Toxic blood. The ability to generate energy blasts. Seize objects by telekinesis. Dr. Wonder replied, listing off her abilities. I run out of juice. Juice. Much faster than Dominique Richington. Wonder added. And it takes a lot longer for me to recharge. What would Dominique could? He could recharge herself. Can recharge herself. Charge in minutes. I take days to recuperate. I'm aware of that. Brent replied. As far as Brent, the woman's powers were hereditary in nature. As far as Brant knew, they had nothing to do with the cult. Though Wonder's family had been in the cult for many centuries. And so far back, it was uncertain when they joined. Wonder's family produced a number of superhumans over history. Psychics, healers, energy throwers, pyrokinetics. It seemed an odd coincidence. Most families, if they had a superhuman in their ranks, was a once in a lifetime. Once in a family tree kind of thing. He tried to kill me. My master. Dr. Wagner noted. I was forced to... I apologize for that, Frank replied. I was part of a task force that was dedicated to your destruction. After the second operation, it was disbanded. The first operation, Wonder muttered. I remember seeing you there. I was forced to reveal I had superhuman powers then. There was no other way to escape. We just thought you were a normal but cold, ruthless doctor. Brent noted. Ruthless. Dr. Wonder muttered. They nicknamed you the taxidermist. The SK occupation forces. The SK officers behind the task force nicknamed you the taxidermist. Rand noted. Said, because some blood cans that your group killed turned up with big autopsy scars. You dissected them. I'm always eager to learn, Dr. One muttered, replied, admitting in a way what she dissecting those corpses. They were already dead, and what weapon did Brandt have? I don't know why my mouth is suddenly very thirsty. Where was I? Oh, yeah. One time I went a whole day without drinking, and when I took a sip of that water, oh my god. It was like, I wish water always tasted that good. Water by itself is pretty good. I can't go to bed without drinking a whole glass of water each night. As I wake up with my whole mouth feeling like a desert. They were already dead. They're already dead, and I found a purpose for them. They were more useful under my knife than they would have been. Would you preferred me to just leave them to rot in some sewer? Maybe I should have had her come from Belgium. Then maybe there would have been some interesting things in Belgium. At least in my universe. I'm gonna run in some sewer. No. Brent admitted. Brent didn't know. No, those two men killed. They were good. They were dedicated members of the Gear. They weren't war criminals. And the men who killed them were likely never brought to justice. Brent doubted that Dr. Wonder was responsible. She, let's see. She very rarely killed people, and never did with a gun, like what happened with those two men. At least you embalmed them, like I said, so they didn't end up all bloated. All bloated and rotted before they were found. I really am. I learned to embalm the dead when I was an apprentice at a funeral home. Dr. Woodrow noted. Brother Wonder was only in her 20s, yet she had many occupations, many expert. She was an expert apprenticed in many fields and knew how to do a lot of different interesting things. Brent felt she apprenticed in many fields and wore many hats. She was a surgeon first, cult leader second, and superhuman third. She was a surgeon first, a cult leader second, and superhuman third. I hope he doesn't come off as a Mary Sue. Okay, well, signing off. See you later. Have a nice day.